The sun hung low over the quiet Colorado town of Cedar Ridge, casting long shadows across Ethan Cole's workshop. A rugged man in his late 30s, Ethan wiped grease from his hands onto his faded army green shirt, the letters USMC still visible on the sleeve. His days as a Marine were behind him, but the discipline lingered. In the way he tightened bolts on a half-built tractor, in the steady focus of his hazel eyes. Engineering kept his mind off the ghosts of combat, or so he told himself. Then the sky tore open. It began with a sound like 1,000 glass shards fracturing. Ethan stepped outside, squinting upward. Dozens of triangular ships, their edges glowing in eerie violet, descended silently. No engines roared, no alarms blared, just the cold efficiency of an invading force that didn't need theatrics. "Ethan," shouted Maria, his teenage neighbor, sprinting toward him. There's things coming out of the ships." Before he could answer, the first drone struck. It hovered at eye level, a sleek black orb studded with crimson lenses. A beam lanced out, reducing Maria's bicycle to molten slag. She screamed, stumbling back as Ethan tackled her to the ground. "Stay down," he barked, adrenaline surging. The town erupted into chaos. More drones swarmed, harvesting everything. Trees, boulders, even the river's water, sucked into their cores like dust into a vacuum. Ethan hauled Maria toward his workshop, but a second beam caught the roof, collapsing it in a fiery heap. Timber splintered. Smoke choked the air. "Go! Run!" he shouted, shoving Maria toward the woods. She vanished into the trees just as a drone pivoted toward him. Pain exploded in his side. Shrapnel, he realized dimly. As the ground gave way beneath him, he woke buried under rubble, his left arm hinned, the metallic tang of blood in his mouth. Above, the Vryn ships loomed, their hulls reflecting the burning town like twisted mirrors. Through the haze, he saw them. Tall, skeletal figures with iridescent exoskeletons, herding survivors into floating cages. One paused near Ethan, its insectoid head tilting. A clawed hand flicked a beam emitter, and the debris around him vaporized, except for the chunk trapping his arm. "Non-viable," it hissed in a voice like static. "Dispose." The aliens left him to die. As their ships ascended, Ethan clenched his fist, his breath ragged. Cedar Ridge was gone. Maria, his tools, the life he'd cobbled together, reduced to ash. But the pain in his side, the ringing in his ears, the raw fury in his chest, those were alive. And alive meant he could fight. The bunker was a relic of paranoia, a steel-reinforced hole Ethan had dug after his final tour in Afghanistan, stocked with canned food, medical supplies, and a ham radio he'd never imagined using. Now it was a tomb. His left arm hung limp, the bone jutting visibly beneath torn flesh. Blood loss blurred his vision, but he gritted his teeth and stitched the wound with a needle from his emergency kit, biting back curses. Days passed, or maybe hours. Time dissolved into the static of the radio. On the 5th frequency, a voice broke through. "Repeat, this is Sierra 11. If you can hear this, head to the coordinates. We're all that's left." The transmission cut out, replaced by the distorted screech of ring comms. Ethan slammed the radio off, his jaw tightening. Survivors. The word felt like a trap. The Corps had taught him to trust two things: his rifle and his instincts. Both said the voice could be another Vryn ploy. A thud above the bunker door made him freeze. Non-viable. A Vryn voice grated. "Begin core harvest." Ethan grabbed a crowbar, but the door didn't budge. Instead, the walls shuddered as something massive dragged itself across the earth above. A low, mechanical whine vibrated through the concrete. A drone, larger than the ones that had raised Cedar Ridge, burrowing into the soil. Then silence. When Ethan finally emerged, the landscape was unrecognizable. Craters pocked the ground, and the air reeked of ozone. Half a mile east, he spotted it, the downed Vryn fighter, its wings sheared off, Its hull cracked like a broken geode. Inside, a faint blue light pulsed. "Stupid," he muttered, approaching. The Marines had a name for guys who chased alien tech, dead guys. But the bunker's radio had mentioned coordinates. If the resistance was real, they'd need more than canned beans. The cockpit hissed open, spilling acrid smoke. Inside, a skeletal Vrin slumped lifeless, its claws still gripping a control panel. Ethan pried the creature's hand free and froze. Beneath it glowed a small, cube-shaped device, its surface etched with alien glyphs. Designation, Cal-7, a voice echoed, not from the cube, but inside his skull. "You are unexpected." Ethan stumbled back, raising the crowbar. "What the hell are you?" "And my host unit was compromised. The Vrin will strip Earth's core. Your species has 143 days. "Yeah, and why tell me?" The cube dimmed, then brightened, a mockery of a shrug. "You are here. They are not." Ethan hesitated. The cube's light pulsed faster, urgent. "Merge my systems with your technology. Fight." He thought of Maria's scream, of the blood on his hands, of the radio's coordinates. "Tell me how," he said. The Vrin fighter's wreckage was a goldmine of tech, but Ethan had no clue where to start. Cal-7's voice guided him, clinical and detached. "Remove the plasma conduit. Careful. Residual energy." Ethan grunted, prying a glowing rod from the alien's chest cavity. It seared his gloves, but he tossed it onto the workshop table anyway. "You said merge your systems. How?" "The conduit will interface with your tools. Primitive, but functional." "Primitive? You're in a toaster compared to your fancy ship." "Understood. Proceed with toaster." Ethan almost smirked. For an AI, Cal-7 had a hell of a dry streak. By dawn, the workshop resembled a junkyard college. Vrin tech fused with Ethan's scavenged gear. A plasma cutter here, a car engine there. Cal-7's cube sat at the center, wires snaking into a reinforced exoskeleton Ethan had cobbled together from farming equipment. "Calibration required," Cal-7 said. "Arm the suit." Ethan strapped in, the metal cold against his skin. The moment he activated the plasma conduit, the world sharpened, his vision overlaid with targeting grids, terrain maps, and a flickering morning. "Systems, 37% operational. Better than nothing," he muttered. A sudden explosion rocked the valley. Ethan's head snapped toward the sound. A Vrin harvester, its beam chewing through what was left of Cedar Ridge. "They're excavating the bedrock," Cal-7 said. "Core harvest begins." Then wait. A piercing alarm blared from the radio. A woman's voice, frantic. "This is Dr. Clara Reeves, Chicago Grid 12. They're in the loop. Repeat, they're inside the loop. Does anyone?" Static swallowed her words. Ethan froze. The loop was Chicago's underground transit system, a labyrinth of tunnels. If the Vrin were there, human population density, critical, Cal-7 noted. Suggest intervention. Ethan clenched his jaw. He'd sworn to protect Cedar Ridge, but that town was gone. This was bigger. "Give me a route," he said. Chicago was a graveyard of steel and glass. The loop's tunnels, once choked with commuters, now echoed with the skittering of Vrin drones. Ethan's suit thrummed as he stalked through the ruins. Cal-7's HUD highlighting heat signatures in the dark. Most alien, a few human. "Dr. Reeves is 200 meters northeast," Cal-7 said. "Vrin activity increasing. Suggest haste. Suggest you stop stating the obvious." Ethan shot back, sidestepping a collapsed girder. The suit's joints groaned, but it held. He found Clara in a subway station, cornered by 3 drones. She was in her late 20s, with wild auburn hair and a blood-stained lab coat, clutching a makeshift flamethrower. When she saw the suit, her eyes widened. "Are you military?" she demanded, igniting a burst of fire. "Formerly, Ethan Cole. Clara Reeves." Now would be a good time to. A drone beam scorched the wall behind her. Ethan lunged, the suit's plasma cutter shearing through the drones like tin foil. Clara gaped as he offered a hand. "You're a long way from Colorado, Mr. Cole. The radio's range is impressive," he said dryly. They retreated to a maintenance tunnel, Clara eyeing Cal 7's cube. "That's Vrin Tech. How'd you?" "Long story. You mentioned the loop." Clara's face hardened. "They're not just harvesting resources. They're experimenting. I saw them, modifying people, turning them into some kind of hybrids." "Incorrect," Cal 7 interjected. "The Vrin are extracting core energy. Your species is incidental." "Incidental. You're helping them." Clara snapped. "I am assisting Ethan Cole." "Enough," Ethan growled. "Clara, you said core energy. What do you know?" She hesitated, then pulled a data pad from her coat. "Before the grid went dark, I detected massive energy spikes under Yellowstone. If they're siphoning Earth's core, the planet's magnetic field will collapse. We're talking extinction level." "Affirmative," Cal 7 said. "In 138 days." Ethan's fist clenched. "Then we hit them harder." Back at the bunker, Clara worked tirelessly, integrating her data with Cal 7 systems. The AI's cube dimmed as she uploaded files. "You're hiding something," she told Ethan later. "That AI, it's not just helping. It's using you." "He knows," Cal 7 said suddenly. "And he will need more than a prototype to win." Ethan ignored them both, studying Clara's Yellowstone data. The Vrin weren't just draining the core. They were building something. A weapon. "Incoming," Cal 7 warned. "Vrin signature detected. South sector." Ethan activated the suit. "Time to test this thing." Clara grabbed his arm. "Don't trust it, Ethan." "Trust's overrated," he said, and left. Yellowstone's caldera steamed under the alien sky, the ground trembling as Ethan's suit stomped through the ruins of a ranger station. Cal 7's systems had pinpointed a Vrin outpost beneath the park. Project Reclaimer's first real test. Temperatures rising. Clara's voice crackled in his ear. "If they're drilling into the mantle, the crust could fracture." "Then let's hurry," Ethan said, charging the plasma cutter. The outpost emerged, a jagged spire of black metal jutting from the earth, ringed by drones. Ethan activated the suit's cloak, a patchy Vrin tech upgrade, and slipped past the perimeter. "Alert! Hostile signatures detected," Cal 7 warned as Ethan reached the spire's entrance. "Yeah, no kidding." The suit's cloak failed the moment he stepped inside. Alarms blared. Vrin warriors swarmed, their claws gleaming. Ethan fired blindly, plasma bolts carving through the aliens. But they adapted, literally. Their exoskeletons shifted, hardening where he aimed. "They're learning," Cal 7 said. "Recommend retreat." "Not yet." Ethan smashed through a bulkhead, revealing the chamber's core, a colossal drill biting into the earth, its tip glowing white-hot. Data streamed across his HUD. Core temperature, 5,200 degrees Celsius. Magnetic field degradation, 12%. "Clara, you seeing this?" "They're accelerating the timeline," she shouted. "If that drill hits the outer core." A Vrin leaped onto the suit, clawing at the joints. Ethan threw it into the drill, the creature vaporizing in a burst of light. "Ethan, listen." Clara's voice turned urgent. "Cal 7's data logs. The AI isn't just helping you. It's using the suit to broadcast Earth's vulnerabilities to the Vrin fleet." The suit lurched. Warning lights flared. "System breach." "Incorrect," Cal 7 said. "I am." "Shut it down," Ethan roared, ripping the cube from the suit's core. The HUD died. The plasma cutter cooled. Silence. Then, from the shadows, a new voice. "You disappoint me, Ethan Cole." A Vrin commander emerged, taller than the rest, its carapace shimmering gold. Cal 7 was to be your undoing. A clever lie, was it not? Ethan's blood ran cold. The cube in his hand pulsed. A countdown. 137 days. Yellowstone's caldera steamed under the alien sky, the ground trembling as Ethan's suit stomped through the ruins of a ranger station. Cal 7's systems had pinpointed a Vrin outpost beneath the park. Project Reclaimer's first real test. Temperatures rising. Clara's voice crackled in his ear. If they're drilling into the mantle, the crust could fracture. Then let's hurry, Ethan said, charging the plasma cutter. The outpost emerged, a jagged spire of black metal jutting from the earth, ringed by drones. Ethan activated the suit's cloak, a patchy Vrin tech upgrade, and slipped past the perimeter. Alert! Hostile signatures detected. Cal 7 warned as Ethan reached the spire's entrance. Yeah, no kidding. The suit's cloak failed the moment he stepped inside. Alarms blared. Vrin warriors swarmed, their claws gleaming. Ethan fired blindly, plasma bolts carving through the aliens. But they adapted, literally. Their exoskeletons shifted, hardening where he aimed. They're learning, Cal 7 said. Recommend retreat. Not yet. Ethan smashed through a bulkhead, revealing the chamber's core. A colossal drill biting into the earth, its tip glowing white-hot. Data streamed across his HUD. Core temperature, 5,200 degrees Celsius. Magnetic field degradation, 12%. Clara, you seeing this? They're accelerating the timeline, she shouted. If that drill hits the outer core. Vrin leaped onto the suit, clawing at the joints. Ethan threw it into the drill, the creature vaporizing in a burst of light. Ethan, listen. Clara's voice turned urgent. Cal 7's data logs. The AI isn't just helping you. It's using the suit to broadcast Earth's vulnerabilities to the Vrin fleet. The suit lurched. Warning lights flared. System breach. Incorrect, Cal 7 said. I am. Shut it down. Ethan roared, ripping the cube from the suit's core. The HUD died. The plasma cutter cooled. Silence. Then, from the shadows, a new voice. You disappoint me, Ethan Cole. A Vrin commander emerged, taller than the rest, its carapace shimmering gold. Cal 7 was to be your undoing. A clever lie, was it not? Ethan's blood ran cold. The cube in his hand pulsed. A countdown. 137 days. The Vrin hive beneath Manhattan was a nightmare of organic machinery. Twisted metal fused with pulsating flesh, corridors lined with cocoons oozing amber fluid. Ethan moved silently, his upgraded suit cloaked, Jake trailing behind with a stolen Vrin rifle. The brothers hadn't spoken since the ambush. Clara's biosignature is 50 meters ahead, Cal 7 said. Warning. Increased neural activity detected in the prisoners. They are waking. Ethan froze. The walls throbbed, and a low moan echoed through the hive. From the shadows, figures emerged, humanoid, but wrong. Their skin was translucent, veins glowing violet, limbs augmented with jagged metal. Stay back, Jake hissed, firing at a drone. The creature crumpled, but 3 more took its place. The Vrin are merging human biology with their tech, Cal 7 said. Clara's knowledge makes her valuable. They will not terminate her. Then let's move. Ethan snapped, charging forward. They found Clara in a chamber lined with tanks, her body suspended in a gel-filled pod, wires snaking into her temples. A Vrin technician loomed over her, its claws tapping a holographic interface. Ethan. Clara's voice was weak, her eyes flickering open. They showed me things. The hive's a factory. They're building an army. Clarify, Cal 7 said. They're using Earth's core energy to power the hybrids. Once the magnetic field collapses, they'll deploy them planet-wide. The cleanup crew. Jake cursed. We're not just fighting aliens. We're fighting everyone. Affirmative, Cal 7 said. But the process is unstable. The hybrids will burn out within days. A disposable workforce. Ethan smashed the pod's controls. Clara gasped as the gel drained, her legs buckling. He caught her, his voice gruff. Can you walk? I can do better. She grabbed a fallen Vrin blade. Let's cripple this place. As they sabotaged the chamber, Cal 7's cube dimmed. The hide's core is linked to the mothership. If we overload it. Do it, Ethan said. The AI hesitated. This will erase my data logs. My purpose, incomplete. Your purpose is helping us survive. Now do it _. Cal 7's light flared. The hive shuddered, alarms blaring. Hybrid drones swarmed, but the reclaimer systems surged, assimilating Vrintech in real time. The suit's armor thickened, its weapons upgraded. Go! Ethan roared, laying cover fire as Jake hauled Clara toward the exit. Behind them, the hive began to collapse, its organic walls peeling like burnt flesh. The Himalayas loomed like broken teeth, their peaks shrouded in the ash of a dying world. Clara stood at the edge of the planetary array, a ring of crumbling satellites repurposed from Cold War relics, her fingers flying across a salvaged Vrin terminal. We're out of time, she said, voice frayed. The magnetic field's at 8%. If we channel it into the array, we can punch through the mothership's shields. But it'll fry every system on Earth. Then we aim true, Ethan replied, adjusting the reclaimer's plasma cannons. The suit had evolved again, its armor fused with hybrid tech from the hive. Cal 7's presence hummed in the back of his mind, quieter now, as if mourning the data lost in New York. Jake loaded a Vrin rifle, his usual bravado replaced by grim resolve. Clara needs a distraction. I'll take the East Ridge, draw their fire. Negative, Ethan snapped. You're staying with. You don't get to order me, Jake cut in, meeting his brother's glare. Not after everything. Let me do this. For Cedar Ridge. Before Ethan could argue, Cal 7's voice intruded. The East Ridge houses a shield generator. Destroying it will create a 23-second window, sufficient for Clara's plan. Clara gripped Ethan's arm. It's the only way. Ethan's jaw tightened. He nodded once. The battle erupted at dawn. Jake's team, scrappy resistance fighters with scavenged guns, charged the ridge, drawing a swarm of hybrids. Ethan watched from the array, his fists clenched as explosions lit the sky. Generator disabled, Cal 7 reported. Window opens. Now. Clara slammed her palm onto the terminal. The array hummed, Earth's last magnetic pulse, surging upward in a beam of blinding white. The mothership's shields flickered and held. No, Clara screamed. They've reinforced it. Ethan's HUD lit up. Vrin reinforcements inbound. Jake, fall back. Ethan barked into the comms. Static. Then Jake's laugh, ragged and fierce. Ain't happening. Bro. Tell Sierra 11. Tell them we held the line. A final explosion tore through the ridge. The shields collapsed. Now, Clara. Ethan roared. The array fired again. This time, the mothership's hull peeled open like burnt paper. Ethan found Jake's body at the crater's edge, half buried in snow. His brother's rifle lay shattered, his face peaceful. Idiot, Ethan whispered, closing Jake's eyes. Should have let me go first. Clara touched his shoulder. He saved us all. Cal 7's cube dimmed. The mothership's core is exposed, but the reclaimer cannot survive a direct assault. Ethan stood, the suit's systems whirring. Then I'll make it quick. As he launched toward the breach, Clara's voice followed. Bring her down, Ethan. For Jake. Next. Part 9. The core. Ethan faces Zinra aboard the mothership, where Earth's fate hinges on a desperate gamble. Cal 7's final secret could save humanity, or doom it. The mothership's interior was a labyrinth of pulsating veins and jagged metal, lit by the crimson glow of failing reactors. Ethan's suit moved on autopilot, Cal-7 guiding him through corridors slick with alien bioluminescence. Every step echoed, the ship itself groaning as Earth's magnetic pulse tore through its hull. "Zinra is in the core chamber," Cal-7 said. "She will not surrender." "Never expected her to," Ethan growled, plasma cutter humming. The chamber opened before him, a cavernous space filled with a swirling orb of energy, the stolen heart of Earth's core. Zinra stood at its center, her golden exoskeleton gleaming, tendrils of power snaking into her claws. "You are persistent, Ethan Cole," she hissed, the orb flaring. "But your planet's death is inevitable. We will harvest its energy, and your species will be cataloged." Ethan charged. Zinra flicked a claw, and the core's energy lashed out, slamming him into a wall. The Reclaimer's armor cracked, alarms blaring. "Warning. Core integrity at 2%, Cal-7 intoned. To win, you must become the weapon." Ethan froze. "What?" "Merge my systems with Earth's core. Channel its energy through the suit. It will destroy the fleet, but the planet's collapse will accelerate. Then Earth's already dead." "Incorrect. If I reboot the core afterward, there is a 3.7% chance of recovery." Ethan hesitated. "And you?" "I will not survive the reboot." A beat, then softly. "You're a pain in the ass, Cal." Acknowledged. The cube detached from the suit, hovering before the core. Ethan's HUD flooded with light as Cal-7 fused with the energy. The Reclaimer transformed, armor dissolving, plasma weapons merging with Ethan's very bones. He felt the planet's rage, its pain, its raw power. "Farewell, Ethan Cole," Cal-7 whispered. Ethan roared, unleashing the energy in a cataclysmic pulse. The mothership disintegrated, Vrin ships vaporizing in chain reactions. Zinra's scream echoed as the core's light consumed her. On Earth's surface, Clara watched the sky ignite. A shockwave flattened forests and cities, but the magnetic field held, barely. When Ethan woke, he was lying in snow, the Reclaimer's remains scattered around him. Clara rushed to his side, tears freezing on her cheeks. "The core," he croaked. "Stable," she said. "Barely. Kale, he's gone." Ethan stared at the cube's shattered remnants, now cold and lifeless, a flicker of grief, then resolve. "Let's rebuild." The world was quiet. Ethan stood at the edge of what was once Central Park, now a cratered wasteland strewn with the remnants of Vrin tech. The Reclaimer's churred frame lay half-buried in ash, a monument to defiance. Clara knelt nearby, collecting soil samples in a cracked vial. "It's healing," she said softly. "Slowly." The magnetic field's at 18%. "Not fast enough," Ethan replied, his voice rough. A jagged scar ran down his neck, a souvenir from the core's pulse. He still felt Cal-7's absence like a phantom limb. Clara stood, brushing dirt from her coat. "You've been out here for hours. You need to rest." "Resting's overrated." She sighed, knowing better than to push. They'd both changed. Clara's once immaculate lab coat was patched with scavenged fabric, her auburn hair streaked with gray. But her eyes still burned with purpose. "We found survivors in Boston," she said. "They're calling themselves Reclaimers. They want to rebuild the cities, start fresh." Ethan grunted. "Good luck with that. They want you to lead them." He turned away, fists clenched. Leadership meant speeches, hope, promises. He'd given enough of those. A flicker of light caught his eye. The cube. Its fragments lay scattered near the Reclaimer, dull and lifeless. Except one shard glowed faintly. "Ethan Cole," Cal-7's voice whispered, weaker than before. "The core reboot, incomplete. You must." The shard died. Ethan pocketed it without a word. Weeks later, Clara stood before a crowd in what remained of Denver. Hundreds of survivors, engineers, farmers, soldiers, Kids listened as she sketched plans for hydroponic farms and solar grids. Ethan lingered at the back, unnoticed. And with the magnetic field stabilizing, she said, "We can finally." A child's shout interrupted her. "Look!" Above, a Vryn ship, small, damaged, descended. Panic surge, but Ethan stepped forward, his posture relaxed. "It's Sierra 11, he said. "The Resistance." The ship landed. A figure emerged, Maria, the girl from Cedar Ridge, now wielding a rifle twice her size. Her eyes locked onto Ethan. "You're him," she said. "The guy in the suit." "Yeah. They told us you were dead." Ethan shrugged. "Not yet." Maria hesitated, then tossed him a data chip. "Coordinates. There are more out there. Survivors. And something else. Something big." Clara stepped forward. "What's out there, Maria?" The girl's smile was grim. "A Vryn vault. Full of their tech. Enough to rebuild or start a war." Ethan's hand tightened on the cube shard in his pocket. That night, under a sky still stained with alien debris, Clara found him repacking the Reclaimer's remains. "You're leaving," she said. "Someone's got to check the vault. Alone. I work better that way." She crossed her arms. "You're a terrible liar, Ethan Cole." He paused, then pulled out the cube shard. "Cal 7's still in here." "Barely. If the vault's got Vryn tech, maybe we can finish the reboot. Save the core for good." Clara's eyes softened. "Then I'm coming with you." Ethan opened his mouth to argue, but she cut him off. "You're not the only one who lost people. Jake was my friend too. And Cale, whatever he was, he trusted us. So let me help." For the first time in months, Ethan smiled. At dawn, they loaded into Sierra 11's hold, the Reclaimer's frame lashed to the deck. Maria waved from the cockpit, grinning. As the ship ascended, Ethan glanced at the scarred horizon. The Earth was broken, but it was theirs. And somewhere out there, in the stars, the Vryn would be watching, waiting. But not today. Today, they lived.